Good morning. This is Khalid Malik's Morning Jam. Welcome to Green Hour as we put the magnifying glass on green initiatives. And this being the month of March, we are talking women empowerment. And we've had some amazing women join us here on Green Hour. And today, a very special guest joining us. Glad to be speaking to us today. We shed the light on women in industry, women in textile. Just to give you an idea of who we're talking about today, she is a cricket writer, a textile manufacturer, founder of Kalo Cricket, passionate, patriotic, I love these last two, loud and opinionated. You might get a taste of that as we warm up this morning. We have the Director of Sales of Towelers Limited. Towelers Limited is Pakistan's first woman-run textile company. It's a leader in the world for design, manufacturing and production of premium lifestyle products. Joining us today is Hadeel Obaid. Welcome to Green Hour, Hadeel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So will I get loud and opinionated as we move on with the interview?
I can't promise anything, but it looks likely.
It looks likely?
It looks likely.
But this, so let's start with Kalo Cricket.
Sure.
And I think, did Kalo Cricket come first and then Towelers later? Or
No. Towelers definitely came first.
It came first?
Yeah, it was established in 1973, so a little bit older than me.
Just a tad. But Kalo Cricket, I know that you're obviously an avid cricket follower and writer and so on, but why and how did Kalo Cricket come for you?
So Kalo Cricket came about because I saw a real need in the market to create a platform for those who kind of want to see their stats, want a community of players on a grassroots level. And at the time, there was no such platform which was sort of recording amateur cricket stats in the country. And so Kalo Cricket is like essentially an online community and an online platform that works towards the development of women and men's cricket on a grassroots level. So whether you're like wanting to play for your school, university, or you want to be just like the next Shahid Afridi, we kind of give like anybody who wants to play for the love of cricket a chance.
So through a series of tournaments,
exactly,
and games, etc., matches. It's been a while since I've been in a cricket stadium, and so this is made possible now with women's teams. Was there ever a thought? Well, I'm really gonna be able to get enough women to participate? Was there ever a thought, or you had a network that and realized, well, there are a number of women athletes that are willing and would love for something like this to happen?
To be honest, we had no idea that many women were passionate or wanted to play cricket. We kind of stumbled upon it in 2016. During Ramzan, we just decided to throw out an ad, Pakistan's first women's Ramzan night tape ball tournament. And we wanted to see if there was anybody who was actually willing to play. And we got 250 registrations in 24 hours. And I was like, wow, that many girls want to play cricket.
I don't know why I'm surprised, but I am.
So it was overwhelming, and since then we've sort of done like 7 women's tournaments and have kind of built on that platform, and I've seen such incredible talent come through, and just generally girls so excited to have the opportunity to play, because most of the times they don't really have those safe spaces.
Isn't it alarming, my response to the fact that there were 200 registrations?
Absolutely.
And I went, what? It's now that I reflect, I'm like, wow, what a response. And it goes to show, A, the ignorance, and B, that there are women athletes who love the game, who want to play the game, and are looking for avenues and looking for these tournaments to, I don't know, just showcase and just have some fun. And take this seriously.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that always comes in with women in cricket and things, or women in any sports, is, you know, having a safe space to play. And Kalo Cricket always made sure that, you know, whether it was our night tournaments or our day tournaments for women, we always like created almost like a community feeling. And all those girls who play all kind of know each other, and they all play against each other, and they're very excited, and there's this camaraderie but also this like competitiveness that's set in. And 6 years ago, I would say that women's cricket was something that was thought more to be a novelty. I think now, sitting in 2022, you're kind of seeing more people realizing that, oh wow, we have a Pakistan women's cricket team. Oh, who's the captain? Oh look, we have such incredible maternity laws around it. There's so many random things that have now come up with women's cricket that it's actually really interesting to see the game grow.
You know that video that went with Bisma and
Yeah.
her child and the Indian cricket team? You know, I saw it was nice, but you know what, Hadeel? I don't know why. I don't know how you felt about it, but I thought we never see a male athlete bring or carry their child or their baby. हालांकि वो साथ ही जाते हैं,
Yeah.
family साथ ही होती है, but that, and I don't know how did you feel about that? I mean, I loved it because it showed that one can be a mum and can be an athlete at the same time. It's your own mindset, right?
Of course.
But I don't know, how did you take that video?
Well, I actually loved sort of the message behind it, which is because there are so many women cricketers or just women athletes or women in general really who end up getting married in this country and then having kids and have to essentially choose between their career and whether they can take care of their kid. And that sort of dilemma, for Bisma to walk out onto the field, firstly she walked off the tour bus with her kid in hand 6 months after she had her kid, and she was the first woman cricketer to have had the new PCB maternity policy be put into place for her, and then for her to come out and to kind of play, it gave a very strong message, which was, you don't have to choose, you can have it all. And I think for a lot of girls watching it, it was like, even if I have a kid, I could still pursue professional cricket or professional sports. So on that aspect, I absolutely loved it.
No, thank you, Bisma, for really setting an example. As we move it in textiles, how do women fare in the workplace, and do you see any changes?
In textiles, we're definitely seeing a little bit of a shift. You're seeing more and more women sort of rise through the ranks. I remember in about 2010 when my sisters and I took over a Tavlas Limited and became Pakistan's only women-owned, women-run textile company. At that point, it was essentially 4 women entering a boys' club. And now you're seeing a lot more women sort of rise through the ranks, are in managerial positions. You're also seeing more and more factories and facilities become more conducive to a women environment. So whether it's separate dining areas or prayer areas, some daycare facilities, you're definitely seeing a shift more towards making an environment where women want to come and they want to work.
This is within the textile industry?
Yes.
But I think what I guess the question or the thought is that whilst perhaps, even though I think it would be fair to say that's still predominantly a male club or gentlemen's club, and so you ladies are sort of are pushing the envelope, but also I feel like even though some of these amenities and facilities are in place, and externally it might seem like it's changing, I feel like it's still the mindset isn't shifting as rapidly as it should, maybe.
100%. I think if you look at the other factories or other top positions of women in textiles around our region, you would see more Indian women leading. You enter a factory in Sri Lanka and it's 90% women workers. So here you still have less. And it's significantly, it will change. It's just taking more time here because of the backlash and sort of the cultural barriers that we have of a woman stepping out of her home and going to a place of work and being financially independent, which is often not encouraged or is not something that is supported by her family or her spouse or just generally.
As director sales, what kind of any कहते हैं कि दिलचस्प वाकया कुछ हुआ as a director sales when you stepped into the position?
Well, I think one of the things that always stands in my mind is, I think maybe this was 2015 or so, and I had gone to Chile for a meeting, and I walked in for my sales meeting, and they looked at me and they were waiting for the boss to step in.
Really?
And so they were like, oh, okay, it's really nice to meet you, so we're waiting for your is it going to be your brother, your superior, like who is it going to be? And I said, I'm so sorry, I'm all you have for today. And we kind of took that meeting forward, but it definitely spoke volumes of that expectation that you're expecting another figure, probably male, who would be stepping in along with me for that meeting. So that's something that definitely has always stuck in my mind.
And here in Pakistan,
So, you'd be surprised. I am seeing more and more women on, like, especially a middle management level. And so anytime we've done sales here, they've actually been quite open to it. And I've had good experiences so far with dealing with people here.
With your experience in this kind of position and with Towels Limited and the customers that you interact with, how do you fare Pakistan with the rest of the world?
So I think Pakistan is definitely behind.
Yeah.
And that can be attributed to a number of different reasons. I think one of them is lack of education or lack of awareness. You're not really encouraging your women out onto the work field. You're not really giving them those opportunities. Oftentimes, women here are afraid to ask for that raise, that promotion, that step up, or they're waiting to be recognized.
Yeah.
But there's a camaraderie with your male workers or your male colleagues, which can't ever, where like it's hard for the woman to kind of pierce through that bubble and get ahead. So you are seeing it fall behind compared to the rest of the world, which is becoming a little bit more open-minded. I do see promise though, and I do see things changing, but I think we are far from where we should be or where we can be.
So they say be the change. At Towelers, for example, where you are, how have you implemented some of these changes? Obviously, because it's a predominantly women-run company. So how has this sort of been implemented there?
So at Towelers, we do a number of things. All our facilities have separate dining areas, separate prayer areas for women. We sort of almost give preferential treatment to women in the sense that, if they need to leave early for any particular reason, we allow them that. We have a pretty extensive policy when it comes to, there are certain lines and certain parts of our factory that are dedicated just to women working. So we'll have a certain floor that is just for female workers. Because we know that that's their comfort level. We have a vocational training facility for women within our factories to help them get up to that standard and actually have the skills to be able to manufacture and produce and then take it a step forward. So we're sort of giving them those tools, or at least trying to give them those tools to take it forward.
So in Green Hour, we'd like to talk about the environment and the impact that various industries have on the environment. We talk about textiles and some of the common pollutants as a result of the manufacturing industry. What kind of environmental impact does the textile industry have on the environment around us as a whole?
So this has sort of been like a topic of conversation for several years when it comes to like the environment and pollutants, and especially with like fast fashion coming into play. There was an even bigger buzz about, how do we save the environment while making clothes? And I think, some of the pollutants were, of course, like wastewater, and using coal and regular energy sources, and just like a general. There was a lot of various things about, whether it was waste that was being dumped by fast fashion. And, all of a sudden your environment is being polluted with, people buying 6 times the clothes they would buy as compared to before.
Right.
But now you're definitely seeing a shift. And there's the sustainability word has sort of taken over, not just Pakistan, but also the globe, where consumers have sort of driven this a new kind of preferential thing where they want to buy a product and they want to feel good about buying it. So they want to know that it's been made in a facility that is sustainable, that is ethically and socially compliant. They want to feel good about their choices. And I think that has sort of driven and forced fashion houses and companies abroad to think about it, as well as factories within Pakistan to make sure, and sort of within the region who are manufacturing for them, to make sure they're in line with what should be international standards of compliance.
We talk textiles. How does this get factored in? And really, I guess what we're trying to ask you is, what kind of clean technologies are being used in the textile industry?
So the textile industry has really pushed towards clean energy and towards this very like sustainable, we are good for the environment, made for the earth, by the earth kind of a feel to it. And there's a number of ways that we've actually been doing that. So one is like an effluent treatment plant, which is essentially takes your wastewater and recycles it. And then you can either, you know, once it's clean, you can either let it into the environment without the pollutants, or you can reuse it. You know, one of the things that's really big right now is using recycled yarns and recycled polyester in particular, which is essentially made from PET bottles. So you're taking that plastic and you're essentially spinning it to make recycled polyester, which is now being used in a lot of the fast fashion garments that are being manufactured and other items. You know, you're looking at solar energy. So at Tavlas, for example, all our facilities are powered by solar energy. You know, and we're very big on that aspect of things. And then in general, you are seeing that, you know, whether it's through a Better Cotton initiative, which is making sure that you're sourcing yarns only from those spinners that have ethical and socially essentially picked that cotton yarn and essentially, you know, spun it. So the way we're moving forward is you have to. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. You absolutely have to. And now more and more factories need to be green certified. There's all these...
Here in Pakistan?
In Pakistan.
Really?
And you have to have certain certifications. And especially in the export manufacturing sector, if you are not in line with certain like LEED certifications, certain standards, you know, Ocotex, RAB, GRS, all these things have now come into play. If you're not compliant and you're not certified, nobody's going to buy from you.
So if they weren't before, now that the international market requires this, well, we've got to do it now.
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You have to do the right thing, even if it's not a part of your policy. And I think it's only when you mandate something do you actually make that real change. If you're going to give me a choice, while some people would love to do it, sometimes costs prohibit, there's a number of different factors, now you're forced to do it. And I think that's absolutely brilliant.
I love that sort of high note to end this. But Living Tea is part of Towelers Limited.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about Living Tea.
So Living Tea is essentially our local brand. The reason why we started Living Tea, and it started just about 3 years ago, was because we wanted to give the local market the opportunity to have the same quality products than as the export market. So, you know, you end up hearing so many people having bought products from abroad and they say, oh my God, it was made in Pakistan. And that ends up happening a lot of the time.
You know, this is just the other day at home. We're looking at, just looking at some of the electronics we have at home, appliances. Like, yaar, quality nahi yaar. लेकर आओ 6 महीने बाद ये खराब हो जाता है वो खराब हो जाता है quality, and it's just, you know, well, why aren't we as locals getting the same quality from the same companies that are manufacturing them here locally?
That's exactly
for
the
local
point.
market alag hai, international market alag
exactly. So that's why we decided we're like, whatever we make for exports, we're also going to give it for the local market, because it makes sense. People want nice things here. They want towels, they want baby items. You know, we're all about, especially a lot of our baby items are made from organic cotton. Things that like are now more and more consumers are becoming aware and they're having this consciousness. So I think that's sort of why Living Tea came about and why we're expanding it now and hoping to kind of give the local market a little bit more of a taste.
Love it. Thanks so much, Hadeel. I love it. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
If people want to get in touch with Living Tea or yourself, where can they go?
So we have a website, livingtea.pk, where, you know, we showcase all our range of products and people can buy them there. But if somebody is looking to send across an inquiry for any reason, if they have hotels, Airbnbs, you know, different things, they can send an email to info@livingtea.pk, and that sort of gets responded back to, and we speak to everybody there.
Thanks. Hadeel Obaid, Director Sales, Towelers Limited, as we talk women in textile. Thanks so much, Hadeel, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. So cool to see that we've ended on a high note where the textile industry has only but to adhere to certain standards and practices if they are to make a mark in the international market. Thank you very much for joining us on Green Hour. We'll catch you next week.
FM91 presents Green Hour on Khalid Malik's Morning Jam. Watch the episodes on digital platforms of FM91, News 1 and TV 1.